would you like to see my face in video, or it's fine? Let me put on my video so that at least everyone sees me. Let me know if you can.
Yes, we can see your video. Yes.
Oh, great, good.
Could I ask
Okay,
everyone joining the session to go on mute, please? Please, thank you. Go on.
I would like you to make it a lively section. Please feel free if you want to click on your like buttons. That's fine. Please make it lively, make it feel relaxed. We're actually going on a long journey, not too long, but I'm sure you would enjoy it. Secondly, if you have questions, just write it on the chat. I would give time. I propose that my discussion with you, I would take about 5 to 10 minutes to 5 minutes to read all your questions, and I would answer all your questions. If you feel I've missed anything, please feel free to contact Timmy and let her know. And oh, you can't hear me. Timmy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Absolutely, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. I guess it's from his own hand.
Okay.
We can hear you. Absolutely.
Okay. Check your system, please, and then try and let me know if it's fine now. I would start by sharing my presentation so that you Scot, I'm present here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Let me read that. Let me try and read that quickly. Meeting a group. Okay. Okay. I think there's no complaint, so I believe everybody is seeing my screen. Once again, thanks for coming around. I appreciate every one of you, and I feel it's a progress it's a progress for every one of you if you feel like going into project planning, or it's an added understanding to what project planning is all about. So I have decided to put the title Embracing Project Planning. And my reason for that is I'm not diving you into project planning itself, all like an in-depth study, but giving you a feel, a taste, both what project planning is in the United Kingdom and how you can appreciate project planning in other parts of the world as it's now a very common body of knowledge. And a lot of people are putting deep studies about this word project planning and has given a lot of body of knowledge. We have the PMP, which is the American one. A lot of articles have been written in AAC. There's even studies going on about delays and a lot of things like that within project planning. Who is Magnus? Magnus Abioye is my name. From my surname, you should know where I come from. But I've been in planning and project controls for more than 12 years, about 12 years now. But all through these years, I come to observe that I've been a project planner for a very, very long time, far beyond my 10 years in this prospect. And I think by the time we start going into what planning is all about, you will come to appreciate what I've just said. So let's just take you through what project planning is. I would first want you to start imagining what really is planning, and look at it not from the professional side. Look at it from the fact that every one of you this morning planned your day before you slept. Those who's going to wear the color of clothes you're going to wear, the combination of clothes you're going to wear, the food you're going to eat this morning, what time it took you to drive from home. If you are far back in Nigeria or in any part of Africa, you would have woken up about 2 hours to make sure you beat the traffic. If you're in the UK, you would appreciate the fact that you know uh, where all the difficult areas are, the red markings are, in terms of where construction is going on, and there's likely going to be delays. You've added 15 minutes to your time to make sure you get to work 8 to into project cyber securities, um, you're into business analyst, and you are the manager. You would notice consciously or unconsciously, you will notice that you have at one point thought about what you would do within the project, or what you are going to do within the project to make sure that things are done at the right time, in the right place, in the right order, and every issue is being considered before the project or before the general meeting. So, in effect, we all practice project planning. We all practice planning. The question is whether you consider what you are doing as a project. And that is where the whole thing is. If we look at old world, it's at project planning, or planning itself is as old as the world is. And everything you would read, any book you will read, both the religious book and the non-religious book, you would notice that there has been some kind of orderliness, which is part of planning. There have been a thorough thought through into the books, which is part of planning. There has been also an arrangement of sequence. If you take any book, take for example the content of any book, there has been arrangement of sequence to achieve the purpose of the book, to make the reader go through the book from the start and kind of sail along with them while they read through to the end. So, and that is plan. Dictionary meaning of planning, that as I've written there, it says is the process of making plans for something. I mean, it's as basic as that. That's Oxford Dictionary. While you are thinking about what I've just said, you see that you can also say it's managing issues to reduce uncertainties to a manageable level, arranging what to do or what you need to do for the day. It's an act of organizing events, attaining a goal, meeting to the client's need. So if you look at that as a whole, the point is that we all are planners. Consciously, unconsciously, we all are planners. So you could find planners, the word planners, in different sectors, in different planner, traffic planner, policy planner. In fact, I have one of my project planners during the COVID. She was in charge of palliative. She was a planner for palliative distribution of palliatives to coming from EU to the UK. We also have food processing planners, those planners that organize the logistics of Tesco, M&S, delivering food and things like that. So everyone, consciously, unconsciously, we are all planners. But for a project planner, it's a little bit different, but you will still use the terms, because now we're adding to the word planner, project planner. So a project then makes a little bit of a difference to what a planner is. And the definition of a project is just a sequence of work to do at a given point in time. It has an end date. So a project planner, therefore, project, he organizes the work and the activities within the project and make sure it's all delivered accordingly. He arranges what we need to do or what needs to be done within the project. He clarifies on the resource, that's the numbers of team for a project. That brings me back to when I was a project engineer in Nigeria. And my role then was do the resource, do the planning, do the procurement, do the deliverables, and then hand over to the project manager and say the work is all done. So it clarifies the cost that is needed to be spent. He arranged the cost and say this is what's going to be spent on day A, day B, day C, and day E, F, G, and on for the next 30 days, 60 days, things like that. He arranges the give and takes. That's if they take, for example, the mechanic is going to repair your car. After the mechanic repairs the car, you take the car to the car wash because of the stains from the mechanic, and the car washer washes your car. So it's like a give and take, but that's the work of a planner. A planner allows one person, they takes the job and give it to the next person and create space for the other person to do his or her job. So that's also is the work of a planner. He organizes when each person needs to start and finish their jobs as either a person or a team. He's able to predict when a job could start, when a job could finish, and give work organization, creates work organization such that there is no muddle up of workers within themselves and within spaces or within an arrangement of time. He tries to give that arrangement so that there is no muddle up. He also probes fault and also discuss cause and effect. He's able to put together everyone's tasks, which is a very important side of planning. He's able to clarify everyone's tasks. He's able to tell everyone when to start, when to finish. He's able to define the arrangement of for all parties. He's able to define the arrangements. Okay, you could procurement start first, and after procurement, clients, you can know this. Some other things I didn't write here is that he's able to give reports. He's able to tell the reports, go to the client, tell the reports, go to the area, tell the people in the area, oh, this is what we are doing. He's also able to tell the government, this is what we are doing. He's able to tell concerned bodies. We all call that stakeholders, those who are indirectly or directly at the for the job. It discusses with them, tells them this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to do it. This one we are going to finish. This one we are going to start, and things like that. So if you notice all what I've said, I'm very sure every one of us here, one way or the other, one form or the other, has been a planner at one time in his life. I don't believe that would never be the case. If someone is married, if anyone is married among us, you know that you wake up, to take care of the kids, cook the food before they go to school. All is called planning. But officially, if you go to an office setting and different sectors, you see the name detail planner, you see the word scheduler, you see the word project controller, you see the word PMO, you see the word project planner, as I've said, project planning director, project director, planning director, or then planning engineer, forensic planners, So these are other names for a project planner in itself. However, if we look at within the office, where a project planner really stands within an office, we would start from who actually is to organize, who actually is to do all the functions of what I've said here in the past. Who are those to do that? And that brings us exactly to the picture I have here, the man with multiple fingers, multiple hands. It's actually the work of a project manager um, to do that. Now, the definition of project manager does not really do justice if we look at our office. Think that, okay, once we say a project manager, then he's actually the person that uses all his fingers to do everything that needs to be done. We have other aspects of project managers. We have human resource manager. We have the procurement manager in charge of going to buy products. We have the buyer. We have project analyst. We have even the head of gate man, the head of the kitchen and welfare, the head of health and safety, the head of a project engineer, because he's looking at other engineers. And by the time you look at their task, you would see that uh, their task covers the following body of knowledge that I've written on the other side, which is integration management, scope management, procurement management, cost management, quality management, resource management. Now, all these um, a project manager, that's a contractor, a logistic engineer, a logistic manager, all these are part of the things. It might not be all of them. It might not be cost management, all of cost, quality all together, but a combination of these three, four, two of these, you would see that a project manager has to think about that. He has to think about, take for example, let me use the HR manager. He has to think about the scope, how many projects are on ground, how many people do we have, how do I get a matrix of what they need, who are the categories of what we need, when does these people come in, when do we stop employing people, and he will need all that. What's the project? How many hours do we need? And things like that. This is where the function of a project planner then comes in. A project planner therefore looks at the individual tasks of these people and creates a set of scope of the company, looks at all the projects of the company, creates a matrix of time to scope, and sometimes time, scope, cost. He puts this in together, the ideas in the project manager's mind, which is the scope, that's work or the things that needs to be done. He also adds timelines to all this scope of what different managers need, the delivery managers, what it needs to deliver, the commissioning managers, what it needs to commission, the project managers, what they need to manage, whether one project or two projects, the program manager, operation manager, how many projects, maybe 10 projects under his portfolio. And then he puts time into nitty-gritties of what needs to be done. That cascades, that merges together, first of all the projects, then secondly, merges together all the resource, then merges together all the costs. Now, that merging together then start giving people clarity to the project information, the strategy. It gives communication to the stakeholder, because now he's able to merge all these costs together, is able to merge all the scope together, is now merging all the time together, is giving gaps between each activities of what everybody is going to do as clustered as it is, and no matter the numbers of how clustered it is able to put everything together into different compartments, into different compartments or breakdown or structures or work package. It breaks it down, puts time. So it's more or less like someone who can see everything, what is going to be done at different projects, someone who can put timeline into everybody's work, someone who can put gates into everybody's activities, someone who could put a finish start, that's control measures with everybody's work, and is able to tell the clients, tell stakeholders, this is when we are going to finish the job. This is the likely time we are going to start it. You can tell the HR manager, you're most likely going to need these numbers of people. You can tell the project manager, well, I'm going to be your timekeeper and I'm going to be your performance measure man or performance measure lady, and I'm going to measure your performance with what I can use, and I'm a timekeeper. It could create matrix between the budget, the time, the work breakdown, and he could analyze risk. And that's the beautiful side of it, analyzing risk. That is where it's complex for the project manager. The project manager would always, and when I mean project manager, I also mean portfolio managers, program managers, they always have issues with risk and productivity reviews. Those are very, very difficult to manage. Guess what? A project manager does that. A project manager, interestingly, also does some legal side. They do some arbitration. They could litigate, although it's more to do with a lawyer, but they give lawyer that main and very big support because according to the European law, which is the English, more with the English law, the English law requires a retrospective project. A retrospective project is a project that you first agree what you want to do, then you do the job. So you agree, and the agreement is always called a baseline. That's a line on the sand or a base agreement. Then you do the job, and when you do the job, you measure from what you do. And when anybody is changing what has been agreed, there is clarity on that because we first agreed on a thing. So if there's any changes, there you go, you have to account for the changes. So, but a project manager does that as well. And that's the beautiful side of a project manager. Now, in the market, them as permanent staff, they get them on part-time basis, temporary basis, on contract. Now that COVID is gone and they see how people could work from home. Even project planners also work from home, and I think they could even do that better, even working from home. They always call them a supportive roles because they support the project manager in all what he's doing. They term them as project managers as well. And I've seen people leave project planning and go straight to project manager role, a delivery manager role. A couple of my colleagues have done that. They also call them project controls and things like that. So the job roles are supporting project managers, project delivery, but mainly the senior management need them very much on communication and interpretation or status information. They need them very much on that, and they can't do without them when it comes to things like that because it's also a legal document. Well, I have put this on a very simple term, and I propose to talk more about this. I hope I wouldn't talk too much on that. But now the qualifications. Although I wrote GCSE, college studies, your basic willingness. The GCSE, I'm taking it from the graduates in the UK. They just need them to finish either their uni, I shouldn't have used the word just GCSE, so it doesn't mean like someone that have just finished college or things like that. But if you have a trade and you are a graduate either in a trade or either from your uni, in fact, almost all the all the countries I've worked within the Europe, within the UK, apart from Africa, almost all the Babcock, is it is it, every department, every construction, banking and finance, oil and gas, they always say once you are willing and you just finish, you're a graduate, they are willing to start with you on that. How much less if you've even done care jobs or you've done any job that you feel you've done and you learn it in that. Once you are willing, they are ready to take you on board and give you the necessary training. Um, don't forget, it's a project management training. Once you're going in there, it's a project management training. So management would be mostly what you'll be trained, but the tools as well will be also what you'll be trained about. So the industry includes the construction, like I've said, the mining, aerospace, defense, finance, banking and finance, telecom, IT, healthcare, pharmaceutical, oil and gas, the legal side, and the agriculture, and as much as many industries. I have worked over the years in the construction, manufacturing, the aerospace, defense, telecom, IT, pharmaceutical, oil and gas, and I can boastfully say that all the qualifications for just an entry basis is just being a graduate. However, you would have to build yourself up um, if you don't want to be just in a graduate entry. I spoke last week before today's meeting. I spoke with my boss and I said, do you need more people? And he told me, yes, I need, if you could find me 2 people. And so there's going to be some training. He was so happy there's going to be some training for the graduates coming. And I was just laughing in my mind that, look, I'm going to talk to Black and Scot and I'm just asking that information because I want to know whether what I'm thinking is what I'm saying. So in other words, there is prospects, there is future for it, there is future, there is prospects, there is opportunity, and there is need for project planning in various sectors. You can name it. However, you will need your tools, and most of the tools, I divided the tools into 2. We have the Prince2 planning software tools, and we have the enterprise planning software tools. The Prince2, I'm sure that if you're in the UK, you will know monday.com. It's a blast in on my Facebook. At least every week I see it at least once a week, monday.com. And we have other planning software, TimeCap Planner, Toggle Planner, Basecamp, Trello, Norton, CheckUp, ClickUp, Smartsheet is common. Excel has joined the bandwagon. They're also creating softwares. Now, these softwares are very good for a Prince2 approach. A Prince2 approach is an approach where everybody is in a room or everybody is in a house and everybody knows what to do. And the only difficulty they are finding is how to arrange themselves in what to do. So they are not affected by the weather. They are not affected by any contract. They are not affected by other teams outside their teams. They are not affected by give or take. They know each other because everybody does almost the same project type. Maybe everybody's an HR. So Monday.com becomes a very beautiful software to use because everybody is HR. One person only needs to do one Excel and the other person needs to do the other Excel. And after these two people do their Excel, then I'm able to do a VLOOKUP on my Excel. The third person is able to do the VLOOKUP on our Excel, and then I'm able to give a report and we are able to know what to do. So things like that is very easy, very straightforward. Nobody from any other department disturbing us. Monday.com is the best. But when it comes to an enterprise planning software, this is where it's difficult. Environments like the NEOM project, or you go to Saudi Aramco, or you go to the road works where you have to plan for external stakeholders. HR has as their input, designers have their input, construction managers their input, even the banking and finance has their input, the Imran Khan has his input, and everybody from every look and corners, from every factors matter. The contract, the agreement has their input. Then you start talking about other softwares far bigger than Monday.com. We have Microsoft Project, Synchro 4D, Astra, Tilo, Primavera, which is very popular. It's popular because it came all the way from from USA, and USA was the one who carved out the word planners, because they were into this military. They were doing some military logistics, and everybody was finding it difficult to deliver their stuffs. So someone just came up with, what if I do the management of this? What if I do the planning of all these logistics? And that was about 1982 or so. And that was where it all just burst out and everybody starts. Then from United USA, it then burst out. So Primavera also became as popular as that. It became P3 and things like that. So, but Microsoft Project is very good for excessive details where you need to buy integrated or integrate materials. So sorry if I missed my pronunciation. Very minute materials and many very minute deliveries. Microsoft Project has been very good for that. So hence the reason why I divided it into two. It doesn't mean that one is better, but one functions far more and does far more than the other. Synchro 4D is adding a planning approach to a design. You add planning and design, and you're able to progress. You're able to progress the design with respect to the planning. That's in the next 4 days, where are we going to be? You're able to show them, so people are able to see the future in the present. That's Synchro 4D. Hello?
Please
Should
go
I
on.
continue?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. That leads me to the next page. The outcome of a project planner's tool is that it provides real-time status information, which is what I have here, about the cost. Is able to give some graphical information. It doesn't mean that all tools does this. This is a Power BI, but it's able to give data it's able to feed data for real-time information. It support litigation. That is, if anybody says that somebody is the cause for a delay, is able, they would first thing they would have to call after an argument. No, yes, you're not supposed to be here. That. The first thing people they will call is the planner. Now, tell us what we all agreed. The planner comes, brings the board, say, you agreed this, and you agreed this. And we all agreed and said yes. Now, tell us what the problem is. The planner then comes back again and say, this is the problem. As of the 11th of October, 4 p.m., you said you will deliver your goods here. And that 12th of October, 5 p.m., you would have finished using your goods. Now you have not finished, and I can't tell the people to go out. Those are kind of litigations, and I have done a couple of them. It could be very, which I'll talk more about that when we get to the character side. So you support litigation, you manage budget, you clarify strategy, you justify time, you explain a stakeholder, you explain to stakeholders, you make suggestions to job owners, you reduce ambiguity, you manage issues and risks, litigate, which is again, just that's it. Abide by contract agreements, you tender for jobs, you use that as a tender for jobs, that's explanation to stakeholders or clients and say, this is what we're going to do. You support timely deliverables, you allow time for people to, you allow the teams to prepare ahead. Now, looking at all this, you definitely need more than just Excel to do that. People do that with Excel, don't get me wrong. You can do that with Excel, reduce ambiguity. You also can use the tools that we have provided, the monday.com, planners tools. You can use the Tilos, you can use the Synchro, and things like that. There's even AutoCAD. AutoCAD has even provided. AutoCAD was trying to join the bandwagon of Synchro. They've also provided a planning tool. So it takes a tool that has all these ingredients, the ability for this to be done successfully, for you to be able to do it and justify your argument, because everything I've said here would require people arguing. And we have different personalities in every meeting. We have people that they don't need to sit down before they start talking. They talk as they talk as they think as they talk. And there are some people that will need to sit down, digest, sleep over it. They will need a picture image of everything that it says. And by the time they come back the next day, they come with a blast of information. So all the personalities, every type of person, graduates will look at it that are just learning. We want to understand what you meant. The HR will want to see whether you are being realistic. Those are arguments, those are points raised. I've sat with CEO and the questions they ask, you know that they tell you, they ask more questions than they tell you more answers, and they would need all the information for them to keep their secret while they tell you what they need to tell you. So you definitely need a tool, and you definitely also need to understand this aspect, the integration, management, scope management. And trust me, by the time you start reading or looking into all these scope management, cost management, you would be surprised to yourself to know that it's something you have done. That's if you've not done your Prince 2, it's something you understand. You only needed someone to open your mind towards that. Those are one of the things I would want you to think about, that it's not complex. It could be voluminous, but it's not as voluminous as your brain cannot accommodate. It's not that. Now, let me take you to another aspect of embracing project planning, and that's the payment side. First of all, in summary, if you look at this, a project planner takes about 65 to 70. I've looked at the average in, you go to LinkedIn, you go to Total Jobs, Indeed, they take home about 60, 75, 80, 90. I've seen 80s, 90s, 75. I'll take you back again, which we see that, which is thereabouts similar to a project manager's pay. It's also similar to a business manager's pay. It's a little bit higher than a project engineer's pay, because a project planner also does the work of a project manager, but not all the work of a project manager. A business manager also does the work, a project manager does also the work, a project planner, sorry, does all the work of a business manager, but not all. And all these people will need the support of a project planner. So let me take you back again. I tried to do a little survey in total jobs, and I noticed that if you go to totalsjob.com, if you type project planner, you'll notice that the majority of the jobs, they like paying 50,000, which is always what the clients will do first. They don't give you exactly what you want. You have to fight for what you want. Then it start dropping when you see 60,000, then drops to 70. Then if you notice, the drop is gentle from 70, 80, 90, 100. The drop is a bit gentle. The qualification becomes that's what they need from you becomes a bit higher. On the other side, what they need from you becomes higher. The
Okay, seems we have lost you there, Magnus. Do you want to try again? We can't hear you. I think you're still talking. It's a network issue. So let's just bear with him. He'll be back. Okay, he's still there, but we just can't hear him.
Hello?
Okay, we can hear you now. Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I think there was a little. Let me go back to screen sharing. I hope I've not gone too far before. Okay. So most of the project planners, many go about with the 50, 60. But once you start climbing, which is always about a year, 2 years, sometimes 3 years into project planning, and they start putting you from 60 to 80. Most of the time, people in Bristol, London, it's always about 80, 90, 70, 80, 90. Lead planners, project managers, project control managers is always about 70, 80, 90 to 100. Forensic planning, which is planning considering litigations and reviewing cause and effect, they always climb from 100 to about 120. Head of planning, when they're about 10, 7, 10 years into planning. I've seen people 6 years into planning, and they jump straight into head of planning. Is always about 100 to 150. Expert witness, that's where the game is. Planning director, expert witness, they expect about 15, 20 years, about 2 to 3, 4 certifications and things like that. So they're always about 150, 250. In Turner and Townsend, there's one of the consulting firm. They have just about 6 expert witness within the organization. That's how few expert witness are, but we have more of planning directors. Is because sometimes the organization structures requires that planning from different countries match together, planners from different countries match together, and we have just one leading planner, which is called the planning director. But if you go into LinkedIn for the space of how popular is project planning, and I decided that I would take 2 weeks window in LinkedIn, Indeed, Total Jobs, and CV libraries. I just typed out project planning 2 weeks. That's which include weeks, fresh jobs or old jobs that have been there for past 2 weeks. In LinkedIn, we have about 2,479 just within 2 weeks. In Indeed, we have about 1,200, and this is just UK alone. If I would think of outside, then we start talking about passive. In total jobs, 513. In CV library, it's about 425. Now, if I use my mathematical mind and say half of these jobs are fake, let me assume so. I'm just assuming being on the negative side, or half of the jobs are not really planning. If I take away half, I mean having in 2 weeks, having 100 and 1,700 jobs, or 600 or 250 or 200 jobs in 2 weeks. I mean, that's massive for every 2 weeks. So I would want you to understand that there is the market for it, there is the need for it, there is the space for it, there is the opportunities, and there is the window period at which, even if you study now or study later, there is window period that is always open for project planning. For the consultancy side, that's those who decide to open companies and say they're going to be project planners. If they are going to do it as a single man, a consultant takes about 200 to 700 per day. Litigators takes about £1,500 an hour. And the
Hello?
beautiful things I want you to appreciate your internet. Oh, goodness. Is my internet unstable?
It was for a while, goes and come back.
Should I change location? Timmy, please let me know if it's still if it still persists, then I would have to change my position.
Okay, it's been like
and
that
go
for a
closer
while.
to
I'll let you know.
okay. Hang on a minute. Let me try and change my position. And then I hope this is fine. I've just tried to relocate. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Just let me know if there's any issue. I'm just conscious of the fact that I don't talk and all of a sudden nobody's hearing me. Okay, so looking at the payment brackets, there is opportunities, there is windows period. That will lead me back again to the future of planning. I know that there is a rise of AI, digitization, technology, but consider every rise as a project in itself. Any new softwares any company wants to build, consider it as a project in itself. If you go to Google, they have planners there because their job has to be planned within a given sequence. Planning tools are also changing, but as the tools change, they do not take away one major element. which is an arguable point. They do not take away one major element, and that is the end user. Number three is that there is the rise of war, and within the rise of war, military making of military equipment. I've also noticed that Babcock, which is into the UK, BAE, which are UK companies, they are also calling on planners because they are now reservicing their vessels, preparing for war. So they need planners to make sure that they're able to do things accordingly. I've worked with them many times and they've always called me back. What am I willing to do? And I just have to turn down politely. The awareness of sustainability, diversity, and ethnic minority, this awareness is changing and rebranding jobs and projects. All the same, they still need planners to inculcate this awareness into their lifestyle. So planners are still needed into all this. There's the new culture. There's the culture. Well, sustainability requires that graduate has to be embedded into projects. In fact, when they are tendering for contract, they ask them what's their plans for graduates. What's their plans for training people, and that aspect. I've read one of the tender documents where they say 20% of their hours they give to training of graduates, and virtually all the companies I've worked for over the years, there's a window, there's a place for graduates. I also train graduates, and so there is that opportunity as well. It's predicted that by 2027, that's a very common thing. If you go to World Economics Forum, so this is an economical analysis. It's not specific to project planners. It's predicted that by 2027, half of all the jobs will be done by AI. Well, agreed or not, it's a prediction, agreed or not, and I would stand on the side that I agree. Project planning and the skills it requires to be a project planner is also a transferable skill. It's a skill that can be transferred into project manager. You can go from project planning into project manager. You can go into delivery manager. You can go into construction manager. You can go into, so it's a transferable skill. It's a skill that makes you an added advantage. In fact, a project planner is halfway into a project manager, and sometimes they call them assistant project manager, depending on the part of the world you are working as a project manager. Now, I put all these companies here because I have such many of them, and notice that project planning, I've noticed that all what I said in terms of graduate scheme, the need for project planner, the rise of AI, and the possibilities of all what I have said, project planners are hotcakes, are needed, are being trained, are being embraced in this department. Now, that leads me to the latter part of this meeting, how to become a project planner. I categorize them into three places, into three channels. The first one is the self-study. The second is the company culture and training. And the third is the mentorship side. Now, for the self-study, every one of us will be aware that YouTube, TikToks, we're having a lot of videos, Udemy's gives some 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes training for £15, and they just talk on little things. Sometimes the videos that we have there, they give you a whole video. MIT videos are there, Harvard videos are there, and Oxford videos. I think I've watched some of them. they do talk about, let me take you there. They talk about this: information integration management, schedule management, scope management. They talk about it, and that gives you a feel of what you need to know as a project manager. It also helps you to understand what you need, what you expect from your tools. And that is where the challenge is. That's the tools itself is always the challenging part. Although you could go to the videos, you could see a lot of tools, how to use virtually all the tools I've mentioned. So for self-studies, whilst I've spoken about the hard skill, that's understanding the management system scope, cost management, human resource management, communication. If you learn it from the video, you would be able to get things like that. If you also take certification courses, there are courses. There's an online course of from University of Aberdeen. Is about a 12 weeks hot course. That's about 1,200. You could also take the books, or just go to videos. You see Prince 2, PMPs, APMP. APMP would divide all those scope management and all that. They divided into multiple granular courses, and you could just learn that within 4 days or 5 days and give yourself full understanding. And I know that some of you have your background could be accounting. Some of you went to schools where, even though as an engineer, you've learned economics. So all those things are part of the things that could be helpful. However, there is a soft skill, and this is where it could be difficult for those who decide that they would go alone and kind of tackle it themselves. This side is because of our personalities. Some of us are introverts, some are extroverts, some are reserved, some are not good at facing white people or different people with different background or different ethnic group. And you will need that support structure for someone to give you either an encouragement, or you personally need to do a SWOT analysis of yourself to understand yourself that, okay, if you're in a good environment where you have been given a job, or you want to go for an interview for a job you've never learned, how not to stammer, how not to think too far about what the answer should be, or how to dress going to an office now that you're leaving care jobs or leaving any jobs and wanting to go, what type of dress, how to dress. So those soft skills are things that you might need somebody to take an inventory of you. And that could be anybody. It could be as far as your parents, your friends, your colleagues. You could ask Black and Scott, ask them, okay, do a SWOT analysis of me or you. There is even a website, a free website that would ask you question and give you that your personality, and then you could build yourself on that. I've worked in a place where I know that this girl was just coming, she's just starting, she's trying to be bold. And in the course of trying to be bold, the negative way she picked it up was that in order to win and appease her boss, she decided to wear mini skirts, a micro mini, not too micro because she would have been told to go home, but really mini. It was a mini skirt with a high heel, making noise while she's walking, and she was appealing to the soft side of her boss, rather than looking at her personality and saying, look, I would need a support structure to really help me get bold or get strong or get my mind together so that I'm able to talk and do what I need to do. So sometimes you could help yourself all through, but sometimes you would need people to help you in terms of the soft skill. The other method of training and helping yourself or help into planning is the company culture and the community training. Um, every company does that self-assessment, and they also have a portal where they give all this training for what they require for as a planner, the basic need of a planner. So you could learn from that when you start in any company. They tell you what they need as an end value, what they need in reporting, what they need as a scope, what they need during tender. And you could learn from that. If you are not working at the moment, the council within your area, that's if you are within UK, they do offer project management training where they just teach you on project management. Sometimes they don't teach you on the software, and sometimes they teach on both on the software and the project management itself. The last bit is the mentorship, which is something I could do or something B&S could do, or you could go to LinkedIn. You could find people that they also offer that. Part of the things we could offer as BNS and myself included is the interviews, how to get a short route into the market, training on the tools, what the tools is about, which tools is best suited for you, psychological support, especially on your first month, first week, first year into the job. You would need someone to review your performance, tell you what to read, where to read, and things to do, and introduce you to other organizations, the organizations like the Mosaic Project of Australia, where they gather people together. Planning Planet, and Planning Planet started about 7 years ago, and they become a certification organization. So groups like that, some WhatsApp groups where you could easily throw your questions in the group, and people from everywhere just start telling you what the answers could be. You would need something like that sometimes, and it's not wrong after a year, 2 years, or 3 years. The mentorship fizzle out. It's even a good thing if it fizzle out and you are now bold, you know how to carry your burden, you know what to do, where to get what you need and what you want. That becomes something positive in itself. Having said that, I've had a chat with BNS. We all have come together and agreed a structure, and I decided to use one of my software. This is actually the Primavera software, and I decided to create what I would do for the next 3 months, what training I would do for the next 3 months. So today, which is the 24th, I've decided I will do embracing project planning. Then on the 4th of November, we would commence, except otherwise, we would commence our first set of training. And I'm hoping that I match the two together, training on the tools and the management, the hard skills. I would touch base on the hard skills, and I would expect you to dive into it, because every management requirement, or every management structure or knowledge has an in-depth on its own that takes almost a textbook in itself. So I will touch base on most of the management requirements, hard skills, and also the tools. And this will go on as a group between the 2nd till the 13th training, which will end on the 8th of February. That training ends. Between the 14th to the 16th meeting, which will be 15th, 22nd, and 29th, would then be a review, general review that could be work preparation, interview preparation, and that will go alongside. All what I'm saying will go alongside with Black and Scott. They would give their input should they need to come in. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks everyone. I'm going to take 5 minutes now to look at the questions that you've written, and then I would come back again and answer all your questions. Thanks a lot. Let me, Timmy.
Yes, boss.
Yeah, I will take 5 minutes off now to just look at the chart, and then I would come back again. So that would be 19:20. I think I've spent more than an hour plus. So by 19:20, I would come back and then answer any questions that anyone wants to ask me about while I look at the chat. I think there's just 6 notification there, but I'll just look at that and I'll come back and answer by 19:20.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thanks everyone. I'll be back in the next 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, thank you. So thank you to Magnus. Thank you very much. That was amazing. In the background, I was looking at the number of people that actually joined, and I saw 100 people. I am proud that 100 people joined, although some people are now joining and living. And in my mind, we have 100 future planners if we all commit to it. And the good thing is, Magnus is going to be here all through. He's not just going to be here to give you the theoretical background training. He's going to be here to provide group mentoring. And for those that are really, really keen to go out there and get a job, he's happy to do one-to-one training virtually and in person. So it's up to you if you really want to take this opportunity up as a career for yourself. We are not charging you a dime. We are going to have a live project that is going to be with it, and you can actually put this on your CVs. Now, I know that from history, when we start, we'll have 100 people joined, and then as the time goes on, we have 90 people left, and then we'll finish maybe with 80 people. That's fine. All I know is some people are going to be part of the next wave of project planners from this cohort. So we have 3 months dedicated, and by the grace of God, Magnus is not going anywhere. He said he's going to be here for a long time. So if you really want this to be what you want to do, please, please, please be part of the wave, the cohort that is signing up now. I mentioned earlier that I will be posting the link to the WhatsApp group to the chat here so that you can join. So if you're not already on the project management or WhatsApp group that we have created, I'll post the link and you can join. And I think I see some of our old participants on the call as well, which is really good because they can also learn from what we have planned now. I'm really, really happy that you are all here. And I have learned something today, because even though I work in cybersecurity, we all plan every deliverables regardless. So I have learned, and I am going to be joining you throughout this course as well, because there is a live project that is coming up for Black and Scott, and I want that live project to be the real live project that we're going to use. In fact, we have about 3 So we could even use the 3 live projects to simulate, you know, the projects that are going on by side, and how a planner will manage that end to end. So I really thank you for your time, for being here from the beginning to the end. And I know we're going to have fun together. So let's see if Magnus is going to be available in the next 1 minute. And then we can take questions and answers. I know a lot of you have already started asking, oh, you want to work in his office? We have to get to that point first. He has to train you, he has to mentor you before he can present you. So let's just give it some time and then we will get there. Over to you again, Magnus.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Timmy. Yeah, we just have few questions, which is great. It means that I was able to explain myself to everyone's understanding, and I'm happy about that.
I think some people will still put up their hands to ask questions. Some people will.
Yeah, put up your hands. I would give you more time you might not write your questions, you might just unmute and then, or raise your hands or mute and then ask your questions. One of the questions that was asked was, what certifications do you need? Put it this way, there are 2 certifications you need. This first certification is the soft certification, and believe you me, I know that that's not a certification itself, but it's a certification. I mean, being a team person, knowing what to say, how to respond, how to answer. I know that there are some people you've just come from Nigeria. Congratulations. How to change your Yoruba English to real English to respond. And you might think it's funny. I know it's somehow funny, but those are real soft skills that you need to build, how to communicate, how to manage yourself. As a planner, you need to manage your plans. You need to manage yourself. So that's one side, and I think it's almost a lifelong certifications, accolades to yourself, because if you don't have that, I noticed that those are one of the challenges people have, especially when there are multiples of Black ethnic minorities or Black people within an organization, and because we are all Blacks, we tend to have that kind of group within ourselves, and we all just start speaking the same language aloud and having that Nigerian culture within the UK, which is good, but the ability to climb the ladder may require you to be much more professional. That professionalism is a certification in itself, because you would need that to climb the ladder to the managerial position. You need that when it comes to being a director. You need that to communicating with your team. If your team is white, you need to communicate. That is highly needed. I consider it personally as a certification on its own. Now, the second certificate you need are the basic certificates you already have. Added to that could be the Prince 2 certification. There is a common PMP certification, some other certification, APMP, where you just deal with end value professionalism, cost management, cost control. Just those type of certifications just takes you up the ladder very fast, because they would have that mindset that you understand it. The other type of certification is the tools. If you're able to fully affirm that you know your tools, it takes you quicker from the graduate level straight to a basic project planner. It takes you out of being just a graduate. A graduate is someone that is just coming from school and needs input from every sector to be able to understand what project management is, who is a project planner, what are the tools of project planning. So once you have that certifications on tools, the know-how to use the tools, and you have or you could prove that you're an accountant before, and now you're into project planning, that gives you an edge. Or you can prove that you're once a civil engineer and you now want to join project planning in a construction firm, that gives you an edge as well. I hope I've made myself clear on that. Inclusively, if you are going to give yourself an edge, which is another part of your question, which is if you're going to give yourself an edge, you could look at what sector would you like to go into? Do you want to join? Do you want to be in the banking sector as a planner? Do you want to be in the construction sector as a planner? Do you want to be in the oil and gas sector? What did you study when you were in the uni, or what are you anticipating to be in the future? So those are part of the things that you can consider and can give you an edge if you have studied that in the uni, and then you can like if you have studied construction, then you know that being in the construction industry gives you a quicker leverage. If you have done banking and finance, doing that in the banking and finance, planning in banking and finance gives you leverage. However, all these skills are transferable. If you do planning in the construction, you can transfer it into the oil and gas. You can transfer it if you do it to the oil and gas. In fact, in the 90s and 2010, anybody that did planning in oil and gas is automatically going to be the lead planner in any other sector, whether construction or so. So the other question was that I'm just open to anything, business analysis, planning, project management. While I would say that those three looks very familiar with themselves in terms of prerequisite, you need to appreciate their differences, and that is where you need to take a decision whether you will be a project planner, you would be a project manager, you would be a delivery manager, you would be a business analyst. You need to understand the differences. They have their differences, and you need to identify them, know what you feel is calling your attention, and then go for it. Every one of them has their pros and cons. A project planner, once you're a project planner, the advantage is you can go into every department, you can go into any sector, but the cons are that you need to understand how to communicate you need to understand how to communicate, which is not a cons, it's just development. You need to understand how to communicate whatsoever the project is all about. And communication becomes the key. Ability to talk, ability to defend, ability to stand and know what you are saying. And even if you're an introvert, ability to communicate as an introvert. You're an introvert, you don't know how to talk. You almost be shaking while you are talking. You have other tools that could help you, which is your emails, which is ability to talk to one person at the same time. Then, like my boss, a white guy, is the head of planning. In my previous, that was 2015. He's an introvert, and the best way he talks is send an email. When he sends an email, it communicates everything. Let me know if you have okay, this 11. Let me see if there's any other question. I'm interested. I play the role of going to the market on behalf of them. If you what you Samson, I just saw what you wrote. You've been able to identify your soft skills. The what is left is your hard skill, and the simple way to do that is look at. I wish I could send you my slide. You look at all the hard skills. If you don't have my slide, just type on Google the word Prince 2 management Prince 2 management system, and you would see the areas of knowledge you need to study on. That will lead you into many places. Or you type APMP and you then see some certifications. I mean, you just need one of them and you're fine. Or you need just the training on the tools and your skills, your branding, your negotiation skills, your branding and your logo skills to be able to build up yourself on 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 the hard skills side of things.
There's a question I've been sent personally. Do you want me to read that one out?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. My question is that Magnus mentioned a number of tools. Are all these tools very important to start within a company as a planner, or one only need to master just one?
Oh, thanks for that. All the tools I've mentioned is just a fraction of what is bombarding the market. And if the market is being bombarded, just know that it's because there is profitability in planning. All the tools I mentioned on one side, which is the Prince 2 tools, they don't expect you to use them, and because I don't think you would need them. I only did something radical, which I don't want to mention, but you don't need all those tools I've mentioned on the right. However, on the left, which is the other side, the enterprise software, you just need to, let me see if I could share my screen. Timmy, can you see my screen? I want to know if I'm sharing.
Yes, this
Oh, good.
the slide is still there.
Can you see my slide?
No, I can see the last page of the first one you shared. Maybe you stop sharing first and try again.
Okay, so for the Prince 2 planning software, my experiences with them is that the way they are being advertised is that you don't necessarily even need to be a planner at all to use them. And I've not seen companies say you must be able to use Monday.com. And Monday.com is designed, inclusively other softwares, is designed like a calendar. So they believe that once you play about with it, within 30 minutes, you would be fine. It's more like calendar mixed with Excel. Some are just Excel calendars. So if you want to start brushing up yourself in preparation on softwares, first brush up yourself in the use of Excel, and then I would advise that you pick on the Primavera software. And the reason is not Primavera itself, but the reason is the popularity. The companies tend to take more importance, more professional software as Primavera, although Synchro is on the rise. Microsoft Project has been, and it's also on the rise. But Primavera seems to be very popular. And so if you are preparing yourself and having interest, I would say start with Primavera, jump into Microsoft project, and Synchro would be easy. But if you know these two together with Excel, 1, 2, 3, you are very fine. If you know just Primavera and your Microsoft project, you are fine. But if you're going to a less complex project or a less multinational project, some of them will require you to know Microsoft project. So as a start, know your Excel, then your Primavera, then your Microsoft project. Every other thing will be an added bonus, but it's necessary to boost yourself with that determination to know other softwares. I was about reading this. Tolu, you said you're asking if it's free. Yeah, it's free, but I want you to appreciate the freedom you have, because if you would do self-study and want to go really into, you'll be spending nothing less than about 3,000 to 5,000 just trying to understand the Primavera and having basic knowledge about your hard skills. But you're going to get it for free thanks to BNS. Is Agile framework still important? Yes, Agile is very important, but don't forget that not all companies would be mentioning the word agile. Hence the reason why I didn't talk about anything agile, lean approach, because companies are becoming more determined. In fact, because of there's one major contract that is being awarded, which is more than about 10 billion worth of project that is going to happen in the whole of Scotland. The question the client asks is there any way you can reduce the time in delivering all what you say you're going to deliver? Now, that is an agile question. But generally, everybody just go back to their drawing board and start thinking. The planners start looking at, okay, what can we do to reduce, and start talking, negotiate, discussing with all the project managers and how they would be able to reduce it. So yeah, in a nutshell, agile framework is applied, but the word agile may not be the talk of the town or the talk of the day as it may be, but the application would be what would be discussed all through the project. So if you have knowledge about agile, that's a plus. You can add that to your CV. I'm interested in construction management. Is it available here? I studied civil engineering. Well, Emeka, you're welcome. If that is what you studied, construction management, that gives you an edge on your soft skills and what you would require. And a lot of companies will appreciate that. But you would, if you just come into the UK, you would need to understand the difference between the soft skill, the difference between the hard skills, technical skills, so to say, in the UK as against the United Kingdom, and the planning approach in the UK as against the United in the UK as against Africa or any other place you're coming from. But that would be an added advantage if you study civil engineering for civil engineering roles. How much Lola Day? Yeah, the 3 months training, like I said, is free. Are you right? Must I say, yeah. So if you have any other questions, I'm already going almost 2 hours. So if you have any other questions, like I said, you could contact BNS, and you could contact BNS email or see me directly, and we would find a way of meeting as a team. And if you need me to mentor you, lead you, hold your hands through the process into getting these jobs or getting change of jobs, you just let me know, and I would give you that support through Timmy. Timmy would contact me. You could also contact me, but I've not dropped my details, but you could ask Timmy. She would give you my details. I would like to thank everyone for listening. I know that I've spoken for almost 2 hours, and I appreciate everyone, and best of luck. Wishing to see you by next year, February, that you're wearing tie like me and working in an office environment as a project planner. Thanks a lot. I would hand you over back to Timmy. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. People are buzzing me and calling me on the phone. They just want to talk about how they can do the training. But so thank you, Magnus. Thank you so much. I can see a lot of questions coming in. Yes, please join the WhatsApp group. I have dropped the link. Excuse me. I've dropped the link in the, excuse me, in the chat. So please join so that we can carry on this conversation. Like I said, we had 100 people joining the call. We're now 88. Some people have left, which is already telling us some things about the people that we need to go forward with. The training is a 3-month commitment we are expecting from you. I have never, and I'm not kidding, I have never seen anyone in project planning offering this for free. Not just the whole period, but their time for a group of people. And now Magnus is even taking it further. He's willing to meet you one-to-one when you are serious enough to do the mentoring, virtually, in person, as long as it's closer to where he stays. He doesn't mind traveling halfway to meet you. All we want from you is your commitment. You're making up your mind to say, I want to do this. So that by February, he is confident enough to hand you over to one of his bosses and say, I trust this guy, I trust this lady, I trust these people or this person, they can deliver. That is what we are here for. And the organizations, as he has pointed out, they need planners. So please, please, please join the WhatsApp group. We are aiming to start in a fortnight. So we will send the information. It's going to be Saturdays. It won't take longer than what he has done for the theory. And like I said, we have 3 projects that we are hoping that we will take into flight, and it will use that project, real live project, to train you. So thank you for your time. I can see all the messages coming to me directly and on my phone, but we really appreciate you. I am going to drop the WhatsApp link again. If you are not there yet, please join. And if you're already there, please begin the conversation and let us know how you want us to take this forward. Maybe if you are in Scotland, you want to be meeting in the after the training, we need to start putting, again, this is project planning. We need to start planning the location they are going to meet, how often you meet, so that we can book those spaces for training ahead. So once again, we say big and mighty thanks to Magnus. He has been amazing. And honestly, I can't believe the deal we are getting over here. He has the same commitment as us to make sure that Black people, we can shine your excellence to the world and say, indeed, you are people to be proud of. So thank you for joining. I will hope to see you on the WhatsApp group or on the call. Have a good evening, and thank you all. If you have any other question, please fire it. If not here, you can send it to the WhatsApp group and I'll pick it. Thank you. Thank you. Cause look at my
Thank
cousin.
you so much, Timmy.
Thank you, Rose. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I've clicked on the link, so I'm waiting for you to accept me.
Yes, I will. I'm just waiting to finish
Yeah,
and I will let
thank you.
everyone in.
Thank you so much. I've been knowing me.
Every day I was, how are you? How are you? How are
Thank
you, Ray? That is my mom,
Fine.
auntie. That's one of our very first cohorts, and they are now hot planners. Yes, so Zoom user, how are you? Thank you all. Network glitches, yeah, those are some people are sending me a lot of messages. I'm very interested. Yeah, I know you are interested. Just let us do the training first. Florence, hi. I'm interested in the training, please. I always be looking forward to train as a project manager and business. You have to choose one. It's either you want a project planner, project manager, or business analyst. You can't, at this point now, you really know, you want to know where you are going. Don't confuse yourself, please. That's why we started with the introductory session, so that nobody was going to be confused. If you're still trying to decide where you're